This is a historical moment for the women incarcerated, all of mass. This has never been done. So I'm glad for everybody who's speaking up. You know, we're all trying to get something done to help better us. And I appreciate everybody that's on your sides listening to us.
Today I'm here testifying in support of the Jail and Prison Construction Moratorium S1979 bill. I ask the committee to report out the bill favorably and work to pass it into law as soon as possible.
There's women here that are just deteriorating, 80 years old. They don't even know they're here. They have dementia. They don't even know where they're at right now. And it's sad to know that, like, you guys just want to build another prison just to leave these women to rot here.
I'm Melissa Portal. I'm 73 years old and have been incarcerated for the past 38 years. I would first like to express the concerns about a new prison. We don't need a new prison. We need a new administration. The problems are here. It would just turn around and take the problems that we have to a new prison.
There's a much less costly option, and it is get people alternate housing programs where they can be released. GPS. There's an aging population, and I'm sorry, nobody could convince me that a woman in her 70s who is in heart failure is a threat to anybody. I understand there's a place and time that consequences are needed, but when is it cruel and unnecessary? When is it excessive and too much? Prisons are not successful ways. They don't keep us safe. They don't keep people out there safe, and they're not a successful deterrent.
And we do not need a new prison, nor do we want a new prison. How much more money are we going to ask our families, your families, to put into this prison in order to create new homes for new people who we don't need to keep incarcerating? The aging population here at MCI-Framingham does not need a new prison. The aging population here at MCI-Framingham needs rehabilitation. They need more programming. We need educational programming. We need job readiness programming. That is what we're asking for. We're asking you to allocate this money into the programming that it needs to be into.
And I'm here to testify today in support of the Jail and Prison Construction Moratorium. I'm asking the committee to please report out the bill favorably and work it into law as soon as possible. Let's be honest. What does the Department of Corrections actually do for individuals in their custody? The answer? Nothing. I mean, the word corrections is in the name, and there is no programming to help individuals to correct or even rehabilitate themselves. People are more worried about spending $50 million building a new prison when they can't even get things right with the existing prison.
Instead of spending $50 million on a prison where incarcerated women are yet again locked up with no proper Medicare and rehabilitation, we need to look at alternatives like giving medical paroles, ending life without parole, granting clemencies and commutations, giving parole hearings to women over the age of 55 that have served 15 years of incarceration or more, allowing judges to sentence individuals to treatment programs, especially if they relapse, focus on mental health and better medical care, have more places like New Beginnings reentry services. I'm asking that you please consider alternatives rather than build another MCI-Framingham. Locking up women not only affects them, it affects their children and family. When someone is incarcerated, so is everyone they love.
Creating a new prison would be going in the opposite direction, because the more beds that are available in prison, the more those in power will feel that they're inclined to fill those beds. Instead, I believe it would be better to find more efficient solutions. Most of the people, like myself, are first-time offenders who are battling with underlying issues of trauma and substance abuse. These types of people would be effectively rehabilitated by the use of residential treatment programs, halfway houses, or electronic bracelet monitoring as alternatives to prison.
A new building is not support. It's just a place to keep us locked in more, which is also deteriorating for your mental health, emotional, even physical. So I don't support the building of new facilities ever. I think They should be focusing more on trying to release people. That's how you started. The more you lock somebody down, I believe the worse they get.
There is nothing being offered in way of programs at Framingham, not even AA or NA, which is as basic as far as programs are concerned. There are no trades being offered other than culinary and nothing available in the way of restorative justice to incarcerated individuals to move forward. Even more pressing is the dire need for proper medical care. I have personally witnessed horrible tragedies that could have been prevented with medical intervention. Those tragedies have only increased in recent years. Women who have been here for years and have aged poorly due to terrible mattresses, processed foods, and in general poor living conditions are not getting most of their medical needs met.
The various childhood traumas, abuses, and collection of mental health disorders that have gone untreated or undiagnosed behind these walls is overwhelming. Yet they've been a central character in the stories of almost all of the women I've met, including myself, and subsequently led to the circumstances that brought them here to Framingham. While I'm grateful for the education and programming that has been provided to me, there could be so much more. I don't believe that putting a shiny bow on an already broken prison model will do anything but perpetuate these traumas into the future, while doing a serious disservice to the communities that many of us will inevitably be returning to.
I came to MCI when I was 19. Prior to the crime that brought me here, my juvenile record was change reports and runaways from my home. I ran away because I was being abused. DSS had a mandate to reunify the family. No matter how often I said, don't send me back, they always sent me back. When I was 15, I became homeless. It was easier and in some ways safer than home. I became an even worse alcoholic, and I made poor choices in friends, and I ended up in prison. Building a new prison won't fix what's wrong here. We have poor health care, dismal mental health, and this place is essentially just a holding pen for women to just go right back out, do the same behaviors over again, and end up right back here or dead.
The DLC is not doing their part to invest in the futures of its residents. However, Massachusetts wants to spend over $50 million to build a new prison for women. For a small town girl like myself, that kind of money is life-changing. Instead of using that money to actually make an impact and change lives, the DLC would rather waste those resources to fund the construction of yet another facility that's sole purpose is to warehouse people. The DLC needs to reprioritize their goals and place reducing recidivism at the very top. In order to achieve that goal, there needs to be a renovation within our current prison. And I do not mean a new floor or a new roof. I mean a fresh approach to how we uplift, educate, and prepare returning citizens. Making a substantial investment in programming and mental health services will be far more impactful in the lives of the women here than a new facility can ever be.
For the last 12 months, what I observed when it comes to incarceration is that it is a way of managing social problems by refusing to confront them. Instead of solving issues, the system puts people behind bars.
A new prison is a step in the wrong direction. I know it's not publicly realized, but if you came and lived here for a month, you would see 90% of people could be released on a GPS bracelet today and be successful. 98% of the women I've met are not dangerous to anyone. We're building the future. If we choose to make more prisons, we will use more prisons. Meanwhile, communities all over the country and world are finding alternatives to prison and having much higher success rates. We can't know that and pretend more prisons are a good idea. Tax money could be spent on creating other programs and positive differences. Everywhere we're learning what helps communities. I believe in the future, and if you do too, I ask that you look around at what does and doesn't work. We don't need another building of scars and trauma.
Instead of spending $50 million on a new women's prison, I would like to see the money spent towards our future success.
To me, it seems as if they have started to look at us as if we are less than trash, as if our lives are cheap and we don't even have any matter or any voice. So today, I'm not only testifying for myself and for my future, but for the future of my children, the future of my community, the future of those who support and love me.
In 2012, I had a serious suicide attempt. Upon return from the hospital, I was dumped in a cell, alone and naked with only security smock to cover my front half. What little services that were offered had nothing to do with my mental health needs. In all my time here, there has never been anything offered pertaining to the topic of domestic violence that I am aware of. The challenges of mental health in prison make it difficult for myself and those around me to heal. Yet here I remain as inmate number F81350. In 2020 and 21, I suffered from severe pain in my upper abdomen. I was told I had indigestion and was placed on Prilosec. A few months later, I was having emergency surgery to remove my infected, stone-filled, ready-to-burst gallbladder. I know society labels women in prison as bad, but we do deserve quality medical care, which we are not receiving. The surgeon told me I was lucky to be alive, but I have to admit I wasn't so sure of that. Are we not worthy of proper medical care? Are we not worthy of proper mental health care without the limits of security staff? Are we not worthy of programming that actually works and tackles the problems of recidivism, education, proper living, codependency, and most importantly, eliminating women in prison altogether? My growth stems from my peers and not from the minimal service that MCI offers.
I don't know about you, but when I look around at all these amazing women, I see artists, counselors, businesswomen, and leaders. There is so much potential and intelligence behind these walls, but we aren't being invested in or challenged as much as we should.
Last year, I walked a good friend of mine, Angelia Jefferson, down to admissions with joy in my heart and hope in my veins, because after 32 long years, she was being released. Angelia was initially sentenced to natural life and had for so many years believed that she was going to die in prison. But her case was overturned and she was released on parole through the grace of God, and she is fighting so hard for the women of Framingham. Angelia is not home because of a new $50 million prison. She is home because of awareness and the National Council of Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women, Families for Justice as Healing, and New Beginnings Reentry Services fighting the good fight to get deserving women out of prison so that they can be better leaders in their community. On June 14th, Governor Maura Healey came to MCI-Framingham, and a lot of women here had the opportunity to meet with her. We had the chance to express our concerns about the Department of Corrections, the lack of programming here at the institution, and what we felt we needed to better ourselves in prison. No one, and I do mean no one, expressed their need for a new prison. Because we don't want a new prison. We want people to find a way of thinking in regards to, we want people to find a new way of thinking in regards to our well-being as human beings.
I am thankfully a survivor of domestic violence, and there is no programming for us women who have been victims of domestic violence. We are not asking for another prison. We are asking for a programming to help us heal and move forward to be positive and successful returning citizens.
Everyone I've asked agrees that we don't need another women's prison because we have plenty of housing here. What we need is hope for a better future at Framingham.
And I'm present today as one of the many voices, not only for myself, but for all of the incarcerated, to request an alternative to building another women's prison.
I am testifying in support of the jail and prison construction moratorium. I beg the committee to please work to pass it into law as soon as possible and stop the unnecessary use of your families, and all the taxpayers of Massachusetts' hard-earned money to build a new women's prison. A prison that is in no way is being asked for nor needed by any of the women here.
Instead of spending $50 million to destroy more homes and dreams from the hearts of our suffering families and our communities, put it towards rebuilding lives, rebuilding communities, restoring hope, restoring dreams, and building a stronger, more unified Commonwealth